and not concerned about attacking and killing people and going on horse capturing raids and being this opulent man. So that happened, and then what happens is people don't realize that they have that stages in their life. In 1830 they look different, in 1790 they look different, in 1910 they look different, but for those couple of decades, this is what they look like, exactly right here. Casey wears his hair like this all the time, every day of his life. Yeah, so, and he's, when you see there, everything, the crow pipe tomahawk, the crow beadwork is very distinctive, and the colors that they use and the way that they applied the beads, and just everything about it screams crow, like out loud, and that's what they wanted to be. They wanted you to know, I'm Lakota, I'm Cheyenne, I'm Crow, because they wanted you to know that, because that's who they were. They weren't any of those other things, and they didn't want you to be confused about any of that either. By the mid-1860s, this was the style. With the wool leggings like this, because those wool leggings, that was expensive. That wool came from England, from all the way across the ocean, fine quality wool. And Indians knew the difference between garbage and high quality. If they learned real early, you'll get burnt and ripped off if you're not careful, because people will try to trade you shoddy goods. And shoddy is actually an old, like you heard something say shoddy material. Mm-hmm. That comes because they would make like felt out of where they in woolen mills, and they'd take all the garbage left over and reweave it and pound it into like a material that just didn't have the strength and the quality of the wool. But anyway, so the black human hair locks that are on the shirt, that meant that only a successful war party leader could wear those. Once you had done it one time, you could put as many of them on there as you wanted. And just like this shirt means the exact same thing. Now this is actually a hadaza, which were the crow were an offshoot from, but this represents more like 1830. And you can see how things kind of changed from the 1830s to the 1860s, but by me and him standing here side by side. And so I have the same things he does, but the green, red, yellow, blue, any dyed horsehair meant that you were a successful horse raid capturing expedition. And they didn't steal horses, and that's one of my pet peeves I've been working on for decades now, to quit people saying horse thieves, horse stealing, this and that. And they didn't steal stuff, they captured it. Warriors capture stuff, thieves steal stuff. Always remember that from now on. These guys weren't thieves, they were warriors. Tell a 92-year-old Marine Corps veteran that the Japanese battle flag that he captured on Iwo Jima, that he stole it. And you will have a lecture on your hand, or you'll get your tail whooped, one or the other, by a 92-year-old Marine Corps vet, okay? And he will say, son, let me tell you the difference between stealing something and capturing something, okay? So these guys were the same way. They were proud of doing that, because they captured those horses by going deep, deep into their enemy territory. And the penalty was death. The other tribe wasn't, oh, we got our horses back. Oh, it's all right, brother. Let's smoke the pipe. We'll be cool friends. No, it wasn't like that at all. Ermine on the sleeves like this meant you had captured a live gun right out of the hands of an enemy. You took it from his hand. He didn't surrender, and the men didn't surrender each other. Okay? They hardly ever captured men alive, because there's no reason. If I captured Casey, which would be pretty hard, what would I do with him? Yeah? He would always be wondering how he's going to kill me. And amongst the crow, you couldn't even wear all 4 beaded strips or quilt strip, which is across both shoulders and down the sleeves, unless you had achieved like their 4 highest war honors and stuff like that. These pipe tomahawks were manufactured from the whites, because they knew, hey, this is a great item that Indian people will want. And by the way, most Indians say Indian unless there's not Indians around. And then sometimes they'll say indigenous or Native American or whatever. But this particular one, a lot of them were forged, like in a foundry. But like this one, some of them were made out of real rifle barrels. So this one's made out of a 50 caliber rifle barrel. And there's a hole that goes all the way through the stem. So it is a tomahawk and it is a pipe at the same time. And they were coming in stripped for combat usually. The only thing they had on was stuff to kill you with, okay? The soldiers had a heavy saddle. Everything about them was heavy. They were loaded down with all this extra ammunition, all this extra equipment, a saber, a carbine, a pistol, ammunition to last weeks and weeks and weeks in the field of combat. Grain for your horse, food for yourself, water, all this stuff. And they were on like big horses to carry all that stuff. And so they weren't trained to fight the way Indians were trained. The Indians were trained to come in, and you're like all over the place. Quick, hit and run, hit and run. So you get the idea. So, and then the Indians hated fighting. They liked fighting cavalry more, probably, if you can say like they did. But they hated fighting infantry, because infantry had very long range, very high-powered rifles, and they were trained to stay together and to dig in if they were attacked by Indians. And that was the Indians hated that, as anybody would. Because once they're dug in, it's really hard to get them out. Even if they just scooping out a little place with their bayonets and tin cups and plates, if you get down in a place and hold that ground, it's hard to get those guys out of there. And in all war, whether they're going to go way back or modern days, if you put a guy in a trench, their defensive mechanism inside their head just like multiplies more and more because they know this is it. There's no place to run. I'm in this hole. The only way for me to live now is to fight from this hole and get through this whole situation. If you're on a horse, like the cavalry guy, even way in the back of your mind, you know, I can always get away if I have to. Hopefully. I can get on my horse and I can run as fast as I possibly can. Infantry doesn't have that option if you're fighting guys on horses. And these guys trained their best horses to run right over someone. You know, every company in the 7th Cavalry had a guidon. They looked all exactly the same. They were not considered national colors. Okay, and I say that for not only so historically you'll know that, but so also you don't get offended if I show you a defaced American flag. Because they were not considered the American flag. They were not considered, this is our national color. And Custer didn't carry a national color with him. None of the cavalry units did. They had guidons for each company, and then the commanders a lot of times had their own individual custom designed flag, like Custer had one, Merritt had one, all these different generals had one. And that way at a distance you knew who general that was too, see? Or they had like a big blue one with an eagle on it like this big, and that was a cavalry regimental flag. And it had like 2nd U.S. Cavalry written on it under a scroll and a big eagle.